Rebel fans, how's it going? This is the Rebellion Podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Staker. All right, it's been a minute since I released an episode. It's been over a month, actually. Yeah, that was not by choice. I've just been extremely busy. I have working multiple jobs and I have a toddler, so doing the best I can. Though it's also been the off season, right? So there hasn't been as much content to put out. Though I am excited to do today's episode. It's going to be a short one, which I know I've said in the past and it ended up being 40 minutes long, but that's not going to be the case today. I don't have time to go that long today anyways. So today I'm doing, in honor of the new chapter in Unlv basketball world, as far as Kevin Kruger exiting the program, I decided to do the top 10 players in the Kevin Kruger era. Now, I didn't spend a ton of time working on this, but I spent a little bit of time, right? So how I am doing this ranking is based off of a few different factors. First of all, talent. What was their talent level at? Which I'm not going to go in depth with how I define talent. I've talked about it in other episodes before. But yeah, I'm going to take a big look at talent level, how valuable they were for us as a player. That's obviously going to be a major factor, if not the top factor. And also just what did they do after? How good were they when they left? I'm going to take a bunch of different things into account, right? So also how good the team was. All right, let's just go ahead and get started. Honorable mention in the Kevin Kruger era. There was several different players I was considering for this spot, but decided to go with Jalen Hill. So Jalen Hill, unfortunately, he did not live up to what I thought he would be at UNLV. I had very high expectations for him. I thought 2 seasons ago he was going to be our best player. I thought he was going to be a star for us. He did really well at Oklahoma. He managed to get playing time for a, big-time Big 12 program. And so I thought, making that transition over to the Mountain West Conference, he was going to be a star player, maybe average 15, 16 a game, be like a first-team all-conference type of player. He was not, though he was very valuable. Despite the fact that he was a little disappointing, he was very valuable to our team. The stats don't jump out at you as a star player, but he's one of those guys that does the little things. There's a lot of things that players do on the court that don't show up on a box score sheet, right? Don't show up in the stats. And he is a perfect example of one of those players, okay? Do a bunch of little things, right? Stuff that you do on defense that, makes the offense have to change course of what they were going to do, little things like that. He was great at those little things, hustle plays, that sort of thing. So let's see. Jalen Hill averaged, his senior year, he averaged 9 points, 5 rebounds, 1.7 assists, and then he was a pretty good defensive player. So I have Jalen Hill at that honorable mention spot. Okay, number 10, Luis Rodriguez. So Luis was one of my favorite Rebels. Unfortunately, he parted ways with us in a very strange way where he just disappeared off the face of the earth. We really could have used him in the NIT. I don't know if he would have made that much of a difference in the Seton Hall game that we got our butts kicked, but we definitely needed him. I mean, he was a very vital piece to our team. An outstanding defensive player, just a likable dude. He had great character, super athletic. I was a huge Luis Rodriguez fan. In fact, my wife's maiden name is Rodriguez, so the family that I married into was the Rodriguez family. So we like to joke around that Luis was a family member, and we called him Cousin Rodriguez, right? It was also my nephew's favorite player. So Luis Rodriguez, he gets that number 10 spot. Number 9, we have Jaden Henley. Jaden really took on a big role when Didon Thomas Jr. departed from the team last year, and he became, in my opinion, our clear best player. I mean, he was really good. He could score the ball. He shot the ball better than, people thought he could shoot. He rebounded fairly well. And he could defend multiple positions, okay? He was someone I really wanted to hold on to going into this upcoming season. I really, really wanted to hold on to him more than anyone else. A very athletic, sneaky athletic player. He unfortunately, he departed the program, which wasn't a surprise. That's common with a coaching change. And he's just got to do what's best for him, right? And his family. And he made what I believe is a really good decision in transferring to Grand Canyon. Now, some would say it's a lateral move. Some would say he's even moving up because there's no doubt that Grand Canyon has been better than UNLV in the last few years. And if I'm not mistaken, Grand Canyon is going to join the conference this upcoming season. I might have to fact check myself on that, but if that's the case, then we're going to be playing against him, which scares me because he's a good player, as evident by the fact that I put him number 9 on the top 10 Kevin Kruger era players. All right, number 8, Donovan Williams. Electrifying player, one of the most talented players. If this list was top 10 most talented, it would be a completely different list. If it was, Donovan Williams would be at the very top, probably number 1. I'd have to look through it a little bit closer, but he could arguably be the most talented player we've had in the Kevin Kruger era. Very long arms, jumps out of the gym, could defend multiple positions. He averaged 12.3 points, 3.3 rebounds, and again, just a versatile player, exciting, electrifying, all that good stuff, right? So trying to look up what he's doing now. Oh, I forgot. I'm supposed to say what they're doing now. I kind of skipped over that in the previous players. So Donovan Williams is playing for the Shanghai Sharks in China. If I'm not mistaken, that's like the top team in China, like as far as the top franchise that brings in the best players, pays their players a lot of money. So I don't know what Donovan is making in China right now, but I guarantee you it's a lot more than I'm making. So just to go back real quick, Luis Rodriguez is playing in the G League for the Mexico City Capitans, if I'm saying that right. I don't know what his stats are. I didn't dive deep enough into that, but yeah, that is what Luis Rodriguez is doing. And then Jalen Hill, I could not find what he's doing. He might just be getting like a regular job. He might be done with basketball. I don't know. Someone will have to find out and let me know. Okay, number 7, top 10 players in the Kevin Kruger era, Royce Ham Jr. All right, so this dude, my dad and I were just talking about him, how dominant he was on the boards, how tough he was, great defensive player, 50% field goal percentage, nearly 40% three-point shooter, big dude. He was like 6'9", 250. Again, very bouncy. He dunked on a lot of people, got some tip dunks. He averaged 9 points, nearly 10 rebounds a game, which is phenomenal, and then 1 block. This guy, man, he just couldn't figure out offense. Well, I mean, to be clear, he did have 50% field goal percentage, and he did shoot nearly 40% from 3. So some might say, like, I think he did just fine offensively. But for whatever reason, he should have averaged a lot more points. His field goal percentage should have been even higher because it just seemed like he struggled around the rim. He struggled to finish. He lacked certain abilities on the post as far as shot creation and being able to use his size and athleticism to get really high percentage shots, okay? He should have averaged more points. I don't know if some of that has to do with coaching or the system he was in, but he's a guy that I think if he would have been better offensively and he knew how to create his own and use his size to get buckets, that he could have been an NBA player. I mean, because he had the size, strength, and athleticism to play at that level. Right now, he's currently playing in Russia, which I thought was interesting. He must be getting some good money to play in Russia because I would not want to play in Russia. I mean, we saw what happened to Brittany Griner. It's can't even have a vape pen in Russia, but it's freezing cold there, and there's giant tigers, and the people there freak me out. I don't know. I'm totally stereotyping Russia. It might be nice. I don't know. So that's what Royce Ham Jr. is doing. Number 6, we have Deion Thomas Jr. Okay, so he is a little bit low on this list when you base it off of the fact that he was our best player last year, the fact that he averaged nearly 16 points per game. 16 points per game, almost 5 assists per game. The fact that a year ago I was glorifying this kid like the next coming. I thought he was going to be this superstar, top point guard in the Mountain West, one of the best overall, if not the best player in the Mountain West, one of the top guards in the West Coast. That's how much I was hyping this kid up. I'm not going to get too deep into it because I've talked about it so much before, but he unfortunately just did not live up to the expectations, at least that I had for him. As good as he was last season, he wasn't as good as I thought he would be. And then he got a mysterious injury and did not finish the season. A lot of people, including myself, believe that he could have come back if he wanted to. But he made a business decision. He didn't want to risk hurting himself worse. He wanted to preserve whatever he could. And then he is going to go ahead and collect that massive check that LSU is giving him. That's where he'll be next year in the SEC. So it was very sad to see him go because, I mean, this was supposed to be our guy. Deon Thomas was supposed to be the first player to have his name in the rafters next to all those other legends, right? The Vegas-born hometown hero, Deon Thomas Jr., his dad played here. It was supposed to be him. He was supposed to be our guy. He gave it his all for 2 years up until he decided to quit, but a very good player. Arguably could have put him higher on this list, but number 6 is still really good considering he was only a freshman and sophomore. So number 6, Deon Thomas. All right, now we're going into the top 5 players. Top 5 players in the Kevin Kruger era. In my mind, these are the clear top 5, okay? Number 5, Caleb Boone. Well, we talk about the most talented players in UNLV basketball in the last 4 or 5 years. I was saying Donovan Williams. Actually, it might have been Caleb Boone. It's between those two. Those two were the two most talented. Those two were the guys who legitimate ceiling is an NBA player making multi-millions, okay? That's their ceiling, right? As in, that's the best that they could possibly be, which I can't say the same for the rest of the players on this list. So Caleb Boone was 6'9", very long, bouncy, runs like a gazelle, put up pretty good numbers, 11.4 points, 5.2 rebounds. He recorded 52 blocks, which is nearly 2 blocks a game. That is awesome. And he was an exciting player. He dunked everything, okay? And I love that. I was a player who dunked the ball a lot, just because any chance I could get dunked, I did. So I have an appreciation for players that just like to throw it down whenever they get the opportunity. So Caleb was unfortunately, he was a very inconsistent player. He came over from Oklahoma State where he had games where he would go off. He went off against Kansas, dropped like 27 against Kansas. He had another game against like Baylor or something where he went nuts. And then there would be games where he had 2 points, 4 points, 5 points. He did the same thing at UNLV. He was an exceptional offensive post player in terms of he just had excellent touch around the rim and great post skills. If you combined Caleb Boone and Royce Ham Jr. as a player, because I swear their strengths were each other's weaknesses. They were both very athletic. I mean, they were about the same in that sense, but Ham Jr. was an incredible rebounder, defender, not the best offensive player. Caleb Boone was a gifted offensive player, not the best rebounder and only okay defensively due to his thin frame. If you combine them as a player, that is a lottery pick, in my opinion. All right, number 4, Keyshawn Gilbert. This guy. I was the biggest Keyshawn fan. I mean, I was as big a Keyshawn fan as I was Deon Thomas Jr. Not only is there the hometown, though, I guess not really his hometown, but he was from Vegas when he signed with UNLV. He was living in Vegas. Such an exciting defensive player, man. He played so hard. Just a coach's dream and a fan's dream player, how hard he played on defense. And that's why I have him so high in this list. He clearly got depressed or something towards the end of his sophomore year because he dropped off significantly. The first half of the season when UNLV was like 11-1 or whatever we were, he was really dominant. He was averaging like 15 points. He was arguably the best player on the team. You know, the better he played, the better our team played. Extremely valuable for us. And then I don't know what happened. His stats started to drop off. You could just look. You just see the look on his face. He looks sad. Honestly, it was the same as Deon Thomas Jr. Kevin Kruger just did not utilize these talents well enough. I'm sorry. We just got to call it out. Just got to say how it is. I'm actually good friends with someone who knows Keyshawn really well. And she said that he left because UNLV was holding him back. Wasn't allowing him to reach his full potential. So then what happens? He transfers to Iowa State, the school that I hate the most next to, BYU and Reno and San Diego State. And he flourished there, went off there, became a superstar. Okay. Won conference player of the year or in the tournament, that is. So leaving UNLV, sad to say, was the best decision he could have made. He is, to my understanding, I believe he was signed by the Washington Wizards, and he will be in training camp trying to make their roster. And then, assuming he doesn't make their official roster, which you never know, I could be wrong about that, he will be for Washington Wizards G League team. All right, top three. Number three, Keelan Boone. He, in my opinion, finished the season off as our best player, even over Didon. I think you could argue that Didon might have been the better player from the start of the season to the end. But at the last 5-7 games of the season, Keelan Boone was our guy. Okay, not only could he score the ball, but he was an exceptional defensive player. He was a very good rebounder. He rebounded much better than his brother, despite the fact that his brother has more raw talent. His brother was longer and more athletic, but Keelan was the better rebounder, and he was tougher, and he was a better defensive player overall. He had 29 blocks during the season, and then he's now playing in New Zealand, which New Zealand, you got yourselves a good player there. Funny, quick little side story with Keelan Boone. When I met all the players when I went to a preseason first look, those practices where they let the fans go to, and they had the players walk by all the different fans that were there shaking hands and stuff, and I was shaking each player's hand and then when Keelan Boone got to me, he grabs my arm, like where my bicep is, and squeezes it, and he goes, "Dang!" I was pretty big back then. I was like really into bodybuilding, but I thought that was funny. Super cool guy, and definitely deserving to be top 3 on this list. Number 2, in my eyes, the top 2 are no debate. Elijah Harkless. This guy turned into a superstar. First half of the year, it looked like Keyshawn Gilbert was our star player, and then Elijah was the sidekick, and then roles reversed. And then Elijah became our star player during conference play. And when I say star player, I mean he was the guy. He was the go-to player. He ended up averaging, I have the wrong stats down for him. Oh, I have his G League stats written down for Elijah. But I do remember he averaged around 19 points per game his senior year for the Scarlet and Gray, and was just a walking bucket, man. I wish we could have brought Bryce Hamilton back for his senior year, and then paired those two up. Bryce at the 3, Elijah at the 2, Keyshawn at the 1. Oh my goodness, that would have been exciting. So Elijah has been outstanding in the G League. He averaged 27 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, one of the best players in the entire G League. I have not been updated on. I think he's going to the Utah Jazz training camp with an opportunity to make their team. If he doesn't make their team, he might start looking into going overseas, because he's what you call like a very fringe NBA talent. Like he's right there. Like he's really close to being an NBA player. I think he might have even got a 10-day contract at one point. I have to look that up. Okay, number 1, and I'm going to wrap this thing up. Bryce Hamilton. One of my favorite Rebels ever. As Kendrick Perkins put it, a walking bucket. This dude was a bucket in any sense of the term, any sense of the word bucket. This guy could score with the best of them. He could score in a variety of ways. His first few years at UNLV, he was one of those guys that he was great at getting to the rim, and he had this go-to spin move that was unstoppable. But you didn't really want him to shoot threes. You're like, you cringe whenever he would shoot a 3. Like, don't shoot that. That all changed his senior year, and he actually became a very respectable 3-point shooter. I think he was shooting like 38% from 3. He was unstoppable in conference play. He ended up averaging around 22 points per game his senior year, but he had a few games where I will never forget. He went off at Colorado State where he had 42 points. It was originally reported as 50 points, and I was like, oh my goodness, we had a guy drop 50. That's awesome. But I guess that was a mistake. He actually had 42, which is still the most points a UNLV player has scored probably. I have no idea. I don't know. You might have to go back to like the 90s, maybe. Maybe J.R. Ryder. He went nuts that game. But even better than that, when we played at Reno, he completely destroyed them. He ended up with 30 something. Was hitting these like step back threes like he's James Harden, and I loved it. So he bounced around a lot. He played for the LA Lakers G League affiliate. He played with their team for a couple seasons, was putting up some good numbers, but wasn't quite able to make that next step into the NBA. He played in Greece, which is a phenomenal basketball league there. And if my sources are correct, he's now currently playing in Australia. So he probably got a nice offer to go there. Okay, Rebel fans, that's all I got for today. Again, this was a short episode. It was 20 minutes. That was the top 10 players in the Kevin Kruger era. Let me know what you think. Drop a comment, drop me a DM, whatever. Until next time, Rebel fans.